Okay, picture this. You just got your results back from the lab. You're scanning down the page and there they are. The numbers are printed in glaring red. Your doctor looks at you across the desk with that deeply serious expression and says, well, we need to talk about your cholesterol. Right then and there, everything shifts. Suddenly, every single meal you eat feels like a calculated risk. Every slight twinge in your chest, it feels like this glaring, imminent warning sign. You're just sitting there completely overwhelmed, wondering, how in the world did this happen? Look, in the US, heart health is actually the #1 concern for men and women over 50. It carries this immense, heavy anxiety. It's like a constant ticking clock in the back of your mind. But today, we're going to unpack some really fascinating source material in this explainer that investigates this exact issue. We're going to look right past those terrifying numbers and explore a completely different approach to cardiovascular health.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the terrifying truth hiding right behind those lab results. 50%. According to the data we're looking at, 50% of people who experience a major, life-altering heart event actually had what the medical community considers normal cholesterol levels just months prior. Just think about the gravity of that for a second. Literally, half of the people who suffer a terrifying heart incident were looking at completely fine, perfectly acceptable numbers on paper. Their doctors told them they were totally in the clear. This completely flips the traditional understanding of heart health on its head, right? It means the standard model of simply tracking total volume is fundamentally failing a massive portion of the population. And that realization leads us directly into what medical professionals are now calling a deeply concerning medical mystery.
So what does this all mean? Well, it brings us to the cholesterol paradox. This is the phenomenon where people experience those major heart events despite having supposedly safe cholesterol levels. Basically, what this tells us is that the sheer volume of cholesterol floating around in your blood isn't nearly as important as the physical quality of it. For decades, the medical community has been so intensely focused on the raw quantity, just driving that total number down as low as humanly possible, that they completely miss the structural quality of the molecules themselves. The real culprit we're investigating today is a concept called sticky cholesterol. Today, we're diving into the science behind this sticky buildup and a natural protocol called Cholibrium. The source material claims this acts as an artery-cleaning ritual, designed to protect the heart by focusing strictly on quality and entirely avoiding some of the harsh realities that come with those traditional, aggressive medical routes.
To truly understand why a new approach is being discussed so urgently in these materials, we really have to look at what the source describes as the statin trap. Now, for many people, traditional medications like statins are an absolute lifesaver. We absolutely shouldn't discount that. But the materials note that for millions of others, these interventions come with a remarkably heavy price. We're talking about physiological side effects that completely disrupt your daily life. Intense, debilitating muscle aches that make simply walking around the grocery store a huge chore. There's also the mental toll, this persistent cloud over your brain, a mental fog that makes you feel like you're losing your edge. Not to mention the documented risk of elevated blood sugar. But honestly, the most difficult part highlighted in our sources is the psychological weight of the whole thing. You feel completely trapped, you're terrified to stop taking the meds because you want to protect your heart, but you absolutely hate how the side effects make you feel every single day. And the most frustrating core of the issue? These traditional medications don't always address the underlying artery glue. Sure, they're fantastic at forcing the numbers down on your lab report, but they don't necessarily do a single thing to keep your actual arteries flexible, smooth, and clean.
So the crucial point is understanding how this actually works inside your body. And the source provides a fantastic visual for this. Think of your arteries like a garden hose sitting out in the yard. If the water inside that hose is full of thick, sticky, hardened mud that's just caking onto the inner lining, it honestly doesn't matter if you turn down the spigot and lower the water pressure, the mud is still going to clog the pipe. Merely lowering your body's cholesterol production, which is basically the equivalent of turning down that water pressure, doesn't do anything to flush out the sticky artery glue that's already clogging the system. To actually clear it out, you need a biological solvent. You literally have to target the specific enzyme that is causing your cholesterol to become stiff and sticky in the first place, rather than just starving your body of the cholesterol it actually needs for basic cellular functions.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we mean by quality over quantity. We're looking at a stark microscopic contrast between the two types of LDL cholesterol. On one side, we have small, dense LDL. This is the bad stuff, the harmful, sticky kind. It behaves like tiny, hard pellets that easily lodge themselves into microscopic tears within your artery walls. They build up over time and lead to a state that is severely clogged and rigid. But on the other side, we have large particle LDL. This is the safe kind. Think of these like big, fluffy, fluid beach balls. They are physically too large to get stuck in the artery walls.
Instead, they stay fluid and slippery, just bouncing along harmlessly and promoting a cardiovascular system that is clear and flexible. So the goal outlined in the research isn't just to indiscriminately wipe out all your cholesterol. No way. It's to fundamentally shift the balance from those dense, sticky pellets over to the fluid, slippery molecules your body actually requires.
So, how do we actually shift that balance? Well, this is exactly where the source material introduces the Cholibrium process. According to the documentation, this protocol essentially acts as a biological detergent for your entire cardiovascular system. It's laid out as a careful, four-step process. First, it targets the root cause of that stale, sticky cholesterol buildup, acting to gently emulsify it. Second, instead of just bluntly blocking your liver from producing cholesterol altogether, it supports the liver's natural ability to properly process and package it, so it actually stays in that fluid state. Third, by doing this, it actively retunes your lipid profile. It encourages the body to naturally produce more of those large particle beach balls and far less of those small, dense pellets. And finally, as a direct result of moving your arteries from a clogged, rigid state back to a clear, flexible one, the protocol claims to naturally stabilize blood pressure by reducing resistance. And in turn, your natural energy levels return. It really aims to effectively quiet that anxious ticking clock in your head once and for all.
Let's impartially break down what the literature says is actually inside this formula to achieve these rather bold claims. The source documentation highlights 3 key clinical-grade compounds. First up is red yeast rice. The materials note that this specific ingredient contains naturally occurring monocolins. These function to gently support healthy cholesterol levels, but entirely without the synthetic harshness that comes with conventional pharmaceutical routes. Next is berberine. This is described in the literature as a highly potent botanical that has been shown in various clinical studies to act almost like a metabolic switch. It actively supports the liver's LDL receptors so they can clear out the bad cholesterol much more efficiently. And finally, an absolutely vital addition, CoQ10. What's super fascinating here is that most traditional cholesterol-lowering strategies actually rob your body of CoQ10, and that's exactly the fuel your heart muscle needs to function. That depletion is precisely what causes the severe muscle pain and fatigue we discussed earlier. The source emphasizes that Cholibrium includes it specifically to restore that vital energy, ensuring your heart muscle has exactly what it needs to pump effortlessly.
Now, of course, when you're looking at any nutritional or botanical protocol, the manufacturing standards are absolutely crucial to scrutinize because consistency in the natural space is literally everything. The materials place a very heavy emphasis on these professional-grade science standards to assure users that they are getting exactly what is listed. The formula is manufactured entirely in the USA. It's produced within an FDA-registered and GMP-certified facility, meaning it adheres to strict good manufacturing practices. Plus, the documentation guarantees that the final product is non-GMO, purely sourced, and rigorously tested for clinical potency. The main takeaway the source really wants to stress here is that this protocol is designed as a clinical-grade dose of heart protection. The goal is to ensure you're receiving the exact botanical ratios that were studied and not just some degraded, useless dust packed into a capsule.
When it comes to the practical application of this protocol, the source provides a very specific, biologically grounded recommendation. They prominently state, cardiovascular health is a long game. It takes time to flush out years of buildup and restore arterial flexibility. And honestly, this is a crucial biological reality to understand. Arterial plaque and that sticky glue, they don't form overnight. They are the result of decades of gradual accumulation. Because of this, reversing years of buildup using a biological detergent requires sustained, uninterrupted time and patience. Your tissues physically need time to heal and regain their natural elasticity. For this exact reason, the materials specifically recommend a 6-bottle supply for anyone starting out. This is to ensure the body has the continuous, daily support it needs to truly undergo that deeply restorative process and gently flush out the decades of accumulated mud from the system.
To back up the effectiveness of this sustained approach, the source details a professional guarantee offered directly to users. They provide a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. The promise laid out in their documentation is incredibly direct and measurable. Basically, if your next round of lab results doesn't visibly show dramatic, tangible improvements in your lipid profile, or if you simply don't feel a clear surge in your daily energy and a regained sense of peace of mind, you get every single penny back, no questions asked. This is presented primarily as a way to give users absolute peace of mind. It allows folks who might be a little hesitant about stepping away from their traditional, side effect-heavy routine to seek verifiable lab improvements without feeling like they are risking their personal financial investment to do so.
I want to leave you with a provocative question to really reflect on based on everything we've unpacked in this explainer today. Are you just treating the numbers on a piece of paper, or are you actually clearing the pipes? The cholesterol paradox has shown us in stark terms that relying on normal numbers is simply not the whole story. In fact, it can be a really dangerous illusion. If you've been stuck in a terrifying wait-and-see approach, or if you've been feeling completely trapped by the debilitating side effects of your current daily routine, this source material offers a radically different perspective on true cardiovascular health. It's an approach completely focused on the quality of the molecule, the flexibility of the tissue, and the absolute necessity of finally flushing out that mud. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this research. Stay heart healthy, and remember, always keep questioning the numbers.